you all ordered your bloody DoorDash? Because we're back on the DoorDash LCO for match number 2. It's going to be Gravitas and Peace going head-to-head. Jubes, you good? You're looking pretty smooth today. I don't know.
Me?
You're talking about Botox earlier. I think you look fine.
No, it's just the producers in the back. They know how to make me look half decent.
You know what I've noticed? It looks like Juice is wearing like one of those old school classic rugby shirts. He's got the black colour on, so maybe he's trying to become a Kiwi. Maybe he's trying to move to New Zealand and become part of the All Blacks. I'm not sure what's going on here.
Look at me, man. I'm built different. Of course
you,
I can be an All Black.
Absolutely, mate. You are absolutely built different. But, you know, top upwards.
Yeah,
top half upwards. You know, you just see it.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move into the conversation. We have Gravitas and Peace coming up very shortly. Let's talk Gravitas first, though. So they are a team that has certainly turned a fair few heads going into this split of the DoorDash LCO. In particular, you know, you've got Akano, Kiyose, and Safa really doing a whole lot of work for them. And Skimmy, you want to tell me what's your favorite thing about this team?
What I really enjoy about this team is that they have this sort of really very aggressive attitude towards the game, where they don't seem to really care who they're up against, right? We see this happen a lot in esports, I think, where you're versing a team that's known to be one of the top contenders, and you kind of get a little bit nervous, a little bit tilted just from the onset of the match. They kind of obviously exploded into split number 2 and defied a lot of people's expectations, given how the matchups have looked. But I think in recent weeks, starting with that game against the Direwolves, where Sefa got camped and went, what, like 2-9, I think they've been cracked just a little bit as to like what the secret recipe is for their success. So I'm starting to wonder, given that we've heard from Sefa that he is the shot caller, whether or not that means that that's their sort of their one wing con, is that he has to get ahead so he can make the plays, that he can lead the line, acting as a leader. But yeah, I'm interested, right? Because you're obviously going up a piece that have changed their roster around, that aren't looking at full capacity either. So this could be a exciting matchup. Yeah.
Now on the other side of the rift, we have Peace, and so far, no good with this new roster swap. They did look all right. They did look pretty good, actually. It was just a very hard game that they had to go up against yesterday. And Tally, he is that newcomer to the roster. Jubes, you weren't on the broadcast yesterday, so you didn't have get to say your 2 cents. Would you like to say anything about this roster shuffle?
Yeah, I mean, Tally was their best player. Hands down, was their best player yesterday, and kept them in the game for the longest time. So yeah, anyone who knows me knows I'm a Tally fan, but you know, he really did keep them in that game. I think Peace are actually their own worst enemy. I think they're trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to become a team that they're not, or doesn't suit them, right? I think the best thing for them is to figure out their identity, whether that's playing around Violet, whether that's Babip on some carries or some proactive junglers. Let him do what he can do. Like the guy is one of the best junglers that we have or have ever had, and he's been put on trundle duties in less than favorable matchups, in less than favorable games.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me.
And to add to that, we've never ever seen Violet play Ziggs before, not ever in his career. He's always one of those, you know, very demanding mechanical AD carries that will look to try and do these crazy moments of action. If I actually dip my mind back to, I think it was last year when he was playing on Avant, he was sharing the role with Gunkrab. Gunkrab was actually getting subbed in for that very role, right? Like to play the Ziggs and whatnot. So it seems so fascinating to me that, as you said, Jules, they're trying to reinvent the wheel and say, all right, we got a lot of really good players mechanically on this roster. How about we alleviate the pressure on Violet, let him play a slightly different role? Because I don't think I saw the Ziggs use the Satchel Charge or a Herald at all that game. So I'd love to see them go back to saying, sure, you play the Kaiser, play the pop-off champions, and we'll build around you.
Now, while we're talking about the bot lane, can we have a chat about Appy? How did he look yesterday on that support? Were you guys happy, or do you think there was more to be desired?
Rough game. Coming up against Cupcake too on the Bard, yeah, it's going to be a tough one. Yeah. A couple times, I think he did die for his teammates. But again, it wasn't an impressive performance. Like, if you're just going to be really, really blunt about it, expect more from him. For those of you that don't know, quick fact check for Appy. Was playing in the, I don't know what it was called back then, LSPL, which is like the LPL but Challenger Series, I guess, or second league.
Right,
and he was, Div 2, he was a support main in that league. So it's not foreign territory to him. He's not relearning a whole new role, but it is going to take him at least a week or two to become comfortable with, you know, at least building that synergy with Violet. So I wouldn't be too harsh on him.
Okay, now let's bring Nat back into the conversation. Nat, how are you feeling about this matchup? How are you feeling? Do you think Gravitas can pull the repeat with the roster shuffle that Peace have brought into today's match?
Well, I did say yesterday that I think overall Peace are looking a lot more stable, even if they don't get the win. Like what you said, Appy going down to support, even though it's not learning a whole new role, it's a hard transition. It's a very different playstyle. It's not going to happen in your first stage match. But overall, they look a lot more stable. And I said this last time they went up ahead, but ban the Ahri. Yeah, don't give Gravitas Ahri at all. So hopefully they learnt that lesson. That is something that helped them with the win last time. So hopefully we see a bit of that ban coming out for Gravitas. But I could just ask them, and I can do that by jumping into interview with Safa and Tally. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Tally, welcome to the LCO. This is our first interview, and I have to ask, how are you settling in? How's everything going over there?
I'd say I'm settling in really well. Like, I really, really love playing with this team. I think like it's an Australian thing where you can actually like banter with your teammates and it's not offensive. It's just like a fun environment. So like I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back in Australia.
Oh, that's so good. How was that transition coming back, I guess, from America back to here? Was it difficult for you?
Not at all. Like the moment I entered border security and I heard the "G'day, mate," straight away just shivers down my spine. Loved it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good, and I'm glad things are going well over there for Peace. But Safa, last time you guys went up against Peace, you guys won, and I would have to say you were a pretty big aspect of that win condition. So what are you hoping to bring in today's matchup?
Look, I mean, last time I was versing a different top laner. I think Tally, with a lot of international experience and, you know, being a veteran for so long, like I have no business coming in with an ego and thinking that, because I entirely respect him as a player. I think he's a really good top laner, and I think that he's definitely going to show throughout the split. But I definitely think that if I do work hard, I can 100% match him and try and do well.
Does it make you more excited or nervous to know that you're coming up against someone like Tally?
Excited for sure. I think he is one of the few top laners in the league that actually do fight you. He has a wide champion pool, and he doesn't just have, you know, a specific strength. I think overall he offers a lot more than just outside of laning. So yeah.
Well, there you go. There's some words for you, Tally.
Thank you.
But what are you hoping to bring differently for Peace and hopefully get the win against Gravitas today?
I mean, I think in our yesterday game, it showed that we really struggled with like our mid game. I think that like I got fed a huge amount of resources and I wasn't able to like translate or like lead us correctly through the mid game. So I think that I need to like step up and help Leo like lead everyone through mid game, because I think we are a decent laning team. I think if we just like cover our like fundamentals, we'll be able to like cleanly and comfortably play against every team in LCO.
And lastly, Safa, you say that you don't want to be coming in with an ego or anything. What do you think is going to be your biggest advantage on Gravitas over Peace?
I want to say our team environment is really good for each other, and I think that, I guess, they are still a newer roster and they have done a lot of moving around. So I think our experience together and our time spent together will be definitely a difference maker for today.
I would probably agree with that one, but there's only one way to find out, and that's by jumping into the game. So I'll let you both go. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Look, I think I'll share the sentiment that Tally really enjoyed coming back to the Australia. So, g'day, mate. Welcome back to the LCO. It's where you're able to run around, have a good banter in your team comms. And that kind of astounds me. I thought, you know, team comms in America wouldn't be that strict, but maybe it just is, you know, at the level he was playing. However, let's have a quick look at the predictions. Again, no surprises here. What have you gone for, though? That's the question. Looks like Peace on this page, so I'm expecting Peace on the second page. Do I need to hype up Twitch chat again, or did last game sort of speak for itself? You know, are we gonna, you know, go for the favorites? Are we gonna go for the easy points, or are we gonna flip it on its head and get Mac the underdog prediction? That's what I really need from you guys in Twitch chat. Get your money in there for Gravitas, because we need to teach everyone else on the desk a lesson, and I want more W's than them. So go for the underdogs here, because look, that being said, Gravitas did get the last W against Peace, so it's not unfathomable. However, what are you guys' thoughts on that one?
I was going to say that, sorry, Jules, I'm going to cut you off just quickly, that even though like I have gone for Peace, I definitely don't think that Gravitas are out by any means. Peace have to still come into their own. There's a lot that they have to work on, where what Safa said is true. Gravitas have that environment. They know what they want to work on. They know what they can do well. You've just got to pray that it's enough, or at least in the areas that Peace are kind of having a bit of a disadvantage at the moment. So it's very possible.
Okay, and now with that said, we get to hear from the Gravitas camp. So, hey, are you there? Are you there, Gravitas?
Thanks, Mac. Really appreciate it. You know how much the Gravitas loves winning with our minions attacking the Nexus from the back door. You know it also likes entering the house via the back door? Doggos. Doggos love coming into your house via the back door. That is why we have partnered with our good friends at Scratch. They're our official pet partner, and what we want to see the great esports doggos in OS on the Gravitas Scratch dog jersey. That's right, your doggo can appear on our jersey on the LCO broadcast later this split. What you've got to do is send in your photos on Instagram and Twitter, tag us, Gravitas OS, like Oakley and Zeke and Carl and Dusty. They're all going to appear on the Gravitas Scratch dog jersey, like Kawhi and Cooper. So all you've got to do is tag World of Scratch, tag Gravitas or Gravitas OS on Twitter, and don't forget, you can win one of these jerseys with your doggo on it by going to Gravitas GG/Scratch Doggos, or just scan the QR code. That's it from us. Let's go, Gravitas. Gravitas Glory. Back to you, Mac.
Oh, they've done it again. They've made another video without the Gravitas Glory.
We need that
The
jingle.
song. I
Yes.
love it. I love that song. I need it in there with every single bit of content. And it's another missed opportunity, but that's all right. That's all right. Thank you very much for that. Now, we have Champ Select ready already, so I won't keep anyone waiting any damn longer. Gravitas and Peace coming at you now.
Beautiful, Mac. Well, let's kick it off with this matchup here. Gravitas and Peace. Where am I last time? Gravitas won this game. It's the longest game that we've had in the split so far, but Peace looking a little bit different since then. So whether or not that is the good luck charm here tonight.
So Champione select. And Safa, no mucking around, straight to business. And I dare say that when you come up against Gravitas, it's probably going to be Gwen in the top lane. It just almost doesn't feel like an Akano champion. Akano is like 3 jungle camps into gank. I don't think I've seen him play a full clear jungler. I don't think I've ever seen him full clear in my life.
No, I think Akano just wants to play the champions we can pop off on, right? He's played a couple of games on the Rex side, well known for that. Definitely played a fair few games of that in the OCS. So just wants to be amongst the rowdiness and joining with the chaos, which is what we're seeing Peace already put together.
There's a very big LeBlanc priority in the LCO now as well.
Yep.
You know, this is 2 games running where we're seeing it picked fairly early, but like given the option for a counter pick. But LeBlanc's one of those champs where like even if you do get countered in lane, you just play for out of lane, right? Like distort the wave, get out of there, go roam, do something to influence the map. And this is actually an old school counter. Karma into LeBlanc, right? LeBlanc was meta for a very long time, and Karma was always picked like in the niche or as a niche to beating LeBlanc, because all of LeBlanc's trading patterns is forward and it's predictable. There's no lateral movement. It's just a distort one way, and then you take, well, Karma shields herself, you take a Q to the head, whether that's empowered or not, and you ultimately do lose the trade. Obviously, there's 100-0 potential if you're face checking, but in terms of the withering lane and like who gets poked out, it's always going to be Karma favored. And Kiyose for me is probably the best Karma we have in terms of mid laners on this server.
And that's what makes it so exciting for me. The fact is that Peace have picked it away from Kiyose, who's played the most LeBlanc games so far. But if you've taken that away from him, then he loves the Enchanters too, right? They've only banned away the Lulu, so happy days for them. The Lucian was banned away from Halo in particular. That's had a big priority towards it, but this LeBlanc will be his first competitive game on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I mean, this is kind of a Peace falling back to their bread and butter, right? Like 80 carries mid, like Lucian mid is meta, like, you know, arguably one of the strongest mids in the meta right now, but I don't think it's like what Halo excels at. I think what Halo excels at is like the control mage, assassiness type champions, where, you know, LeBlanc is going to fit, you know, the type of job he can do for this team. And I'm expecting to see a much better and bigger performance out of him.
Get to see what it does look like as we get ourselves into the second half of the bans. It's going to be the Braum that's banned away here by Peace. I love that, given the fact that they want to come at you, want to prevent the passive locking members in place. They want to be aggressive, they don't want to get deterred by that fact. The Trundle ban's an interesting one. We saw it played by Bebop in the jungle yesterday. A bit of a curveball was thrown that way, but no doubt he'd be looking for something a little bit more demanding. We've seen him play the likes of Rumble, Hecarim, and Diana, to say a few. So Diego's still an option, but yet to see it from him yet.
Yeah, the Trundle ban makes me wonder, as well as the Kindred ban, if Gravitas is going to opt in for like a tanky type jungler.
Yeah, hence maybe why we saw the Volibear ban. It's another pick that Akano's really loved.
Yeah, Volibear would make sense, and Trundle definitely is a good champion into the volley bear.
Get to see where Gravitas go now from this point in the draft, as they've obviously got themselves a bit of CC, a bit of mitigation with the Karma to empower everybody up. But Peace just going for outright lane domination. Good to see that Violet's going to go back to the Callista, look to try and dominate it. Obviously a really strong pairing there with the Nautilus, and look to come out of that laning phase and showcase, all right, we've got ourselves a lead. We've got a Viego and a lot of Blanc to pop off with as well. That mid game, as Tally mentioned, will this time be a lot stronger.
I will say though, the last time that the Gravitas bot lane rather laned into the Callista and it was a Thresh, but another hook champion, they did get the 2v2 kill.
Oh!
I
like this a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind it because
wow.
Yeah, I don't think Tariq is in a place where he's strong, obviously, but Tariq has always excelled into melee range engaged champions. And if Babip locks in that Hecarim, this Tariq all of a sudden has even more value in this game. So I can see a realm in which like this actually works and it's a little bit cheeky, right?
Yeah.
Particularly in the 2v2. If you know, in case you didn't know as well, like Tariq was also picked when Callista was meta. So maybe they've been, I guess, predicting this Callista pick as well as like a hard engage support from Appy. Obviously, maybe you're not feeling too comfortable on the enchanters at the moment, trying to generate or build up that synergy with oh, I just gone blank, and he's the best at Violet. With Violet.
Yep,
I went blank, and he's the best AD in the league, or one of the best ADs in the league. I was trying to figure out like, what you're going
on about. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But you know, to carry on that point for a second, I find it fascinating because we've only seen it happen once. Right? I think it was Direwolves where Gungrab and Cupcake played the the Callista and the Tariq, and it was a case of we're going to be aggressive, we're going to fight every time that dazzles off cooldown, and when it comes to the team fights, we've got 2 escape out of jail free cards, right? The Cosmic Radiance into the Fate's Call. So the Tariq can pretty much be flung around anywhere, wherever, and have so much durability to wait for that cooldown to cycle through. And quickly to piggyback off that point, the Xin Zhao, either first pick ban in terms of a jungler priority, been banned away a fair bit now. Yeah. It felt like it was only a matter of time until the Olaf came into that position, because you'd probably rank Xin up here and Olaf just a little bit below.
Olaf got picked in LCK recently, and like to be completely honest, it was Peanut that did it, and he had a bit of a shambles in the early game. I don't think Olaf's in a position where he's great, but also like if you pair the Olaf against the Hecarim, you're inevitably going to get outscaled, and the Hecarim's going to be more useful. But there's periods in the early game where you're going to be fine for tempo, you're going to be fine for farm, you're going to be okay stacking those early dragons. So I'm excited to see if Gravitas can make this work, and it's going to be very important for the likes of the Karma, for the likes of the Olaf, to really facilitate this early game, right? They're going to have priority or generate priority mid lane. They're going to have priority in this jungle matchup, so they need to get stuff done. Not that they get outscaled, right? Because you think of Karma is just going to make Varus so hard to kill, you know, in the latter stages of the game.
Yeah.
But, you know, I just want to see them be proactive with the tools that they have.
Well, I think for me, it's the fact that we've seen Karma be this fantastic champion at empowering those mid 2v2s, right? So the fact is, it used to be, you'd pair that with a Hecarim, you'd pair that with a Xin Zhao, and just force fights, whether that be for your mid lane priority, whether that be for a scuttle, whether that be to contest a major objective. But the fact is, now you got an Olaf. We saw many moons ago, I think we had the Olaf Yumi, I guess, fill a similar role, where it was the case of he could just 1v2, especially when he pops Ragnarok, he'll just run anybody down. So I'm curious to see what Gravitas can do, because it seems to me that Akano is quite keen to say, if you go a direction, I've still got more tricks up my sleeve.
And the other thing I guess we didn't touch on is, like, how does Hecarim fight? Like, Hecarim has to fight by using the onslaught into the back line.
Yeah.
You don't really play like kite back Hecarim. It doesn't exist. I mean, if you're using your ulti away, we've seen this many a times, they lose the team fight generally. So Babip's going to have to go on in. If Tariq uses the ultimate well, then like Babip's just in no man's land, potentially gets one shot. So again, excited to see how the Tariq plays out. But you have to look on the other side of the coin, right? Callista, Nautilus. I can't think of a stronger kill lane, particularly against the Varus. There's not going to be much to stop Varus from getting hooked, right? And then if the stun doesn't land off of the Tariq, which again, it's hard to hit the Callista, it's going to be a rough time in this bot lane. So it's kind of like that, you know, finding that balance, right? Can we get to level 6? Can we make it out of laning phase relatively even? Because you have to think, if Gravitas are able to get out of lane and get, you know, your traditional front to back set up, they're going to fare very well in this game. And, you know, potentially they don't even bring Safa down to the fight. Because, you know, if there's one thing we know Safa loves to do, it's sit in that side lane, scale up, and just play for turrets. And Gwen as a champion, right? We've seen that this globally for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. Can 1v2, like no trouble, no dramas at all. Takes the Ignite, 1v2 will trade 1-for-1. And if Safa's able to do that, that really does open up the 4v4 for Gravitas.
It certainly does. And I'm really keen, Juves, because I'm enjoying the monologue. I certainly am. But we've actually just got word from producer Witherby that we do have a coach interview on standby. So whilst we wait for this lobby to get remade so we can crack on with the action, it's my pleasure to welcome back Poltron and ask you, mate, you know, you're looking pretty at the moment. Definitely some significant upgrades from Split 1 to 2. We've obviously talked about that at length, but I want to talk about this matchup in particular. It currently holds the record for the longest game at 50 minutes. So what lessons have you learned since then?
Oh, well, I guess from the last time we played Peace, do not go to 50 minutes. We need to be closing the games out earlier. I will say...
Easy as that?
Yes, we have improved. Yeah, thanks. We have improved a lot since Split 1. You know, we've already got 5 wins under our belt in Split 2, where, as in Split 1, we only had 3 altogether. I'm pretty happy with our draft today. Peace have basically a really hard engage teamfight comp, and we've taken Karma and Tarek to disengage and basically beat them at their own game.
And that's exactly where I wanted to shift the conversation, right? Because we've seen a few new champions as the patches have gone by. We saw a few new champions last night. We've obviously seen some new ones here. It feels to me that we're seeing more now from teams of less playing the meta, more so really abusing the fact of blue or red side advantage to get those counter pick matchups. We saw in Order versus Chiefs just then. Was it a conscious decision that we were always going for Tarek in this matchup, knowing the style that Peace play?
We definitely had Nautilus down as, you know, their go-to support. So we had Brom and Tarek ready for the counter pick. And since they locked Viego, which we did plan for them to pick, Tarek is just, you know, 5 times better than any other support we could pick here. Beautiful.
Well, on that, you know, how do you rate this new Peace lineup, right? You know, we know that they're keen to be aggressive. We know that, you know, going to invest a fair bit of resources in towards Violet. We saw it there from the Callista pick to make sure he starts off strong. You know, you look at this new squad with the introduction of Tally and now Appy going back to the bot lane. Do you rate your chances better or I suppose worse than previously?
I'd say we have about the same chance of taking out Peace like we did in the first round robin. I'm not too concerned about the roster swaps. Obviously, I don't know what things are going on internally for them. I know, you know, Tally is a great top laner, veteran player. We did watch back Appy's old support games from when he played, I think it was OCS and OPL for, I believe it was Legacy. Not too sure about that one. But again, not too stressed about their players, more worried about the champion picks and the draft altogether.
Yeah, Poltron, if you don't mind me asking, I mean, we've obviously been used to seeing Gravitas with a very large squad, right? You know, often a player, you know, 2 players in each role, and it's worked out extremely well, giving you guys a lot of practice partners and being able to build that culture. Is this what you would consider Gravitas' strongest 5 at the moment, or is this where you're just finding most of the success?
Oh, that is a tough one. Like, obviously, like you said, we do have a 10-man roster, and in Split 2, we have only stuck to this core 5. I think it's less about, you know, if these 5 are the best players individually, but they just work together the best. I think bringing in anyone new or change up the roster now will just take us at least a week to sort of, you know, find our new grip. And currently, obviously, we're trying to get playoffs, and we really can't afford to, you know, drop any games with roster swaps and such like that.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm curious, Juves, because you know, you've had a couple of defeats on the bounce right now, and we've seen a lot of that attention being shown towards Safin, knowing that he is the shot caller and he's the one to try and, you know, pop off and get those strong leads. Would you say that it's a valid point for teams to target that, or are you saying or would you say that they're underestimating the strength of your other players?
Well, I would say, like yesterday when Order took us down pretty convincingly, Safa is definitely a strong part of our team, and we have relied on him in the past to get many of our wins. But I think today is definitely the day where the rest of the team will show that, you know, we don't need Safa to carry us. We can just, you know, let Safa chill at the back, and we'll bring him home the win this time.
Beautiful. Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the boys play today. Hopefully we're not stuck in Elo jail for another 50 minutes, but nonetheless, Poltron, best of wishes.
Thanks for having me.
Right, Juves, well, just got word from the producer that we're about a minute away from jumping back into the action, so we can kick off this one rather than become a bit of a talk show podcast. But a few valid points that he made there.
Yeah, don't mind Don't mind talking to Poltron. He actually gives us some very, detailed, I guess, analysis of A, how the team's going,
Yep.
B, why they've drafted what they've drafted, and he actually gives us a bit of an insight on their draft, which many coaches normally hold close to their chest. So it's always nice to hear it, people that are willing to break down things, why they've picked this team, why they've picked these compositions, and I think it breaks up the classic, like, I can't say, we're doing this because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good, what is it, breath of fresh air.
Yeah, very eloquent, right, on the mic to get across the point, right? There's nothing worse, I'm sure, than when we ask a big question and we get like a 2-word response, right? And you're thinking, oh, well, where do we go from here? But he's keen to tell us what the team is about and what they're ready to show on display here today. Double disengage, you mentioned Karma and Tarek. That's where my eyes are instantly drawn to. But if you're looking to then engage, you can't get really any better than the Olaf and Gwen on availability.
Ooh. I like this because they know Safa has opted in for the Ignite, right? So he's just in a dangerous place and he's using his emotes. So potentially he runs into a little bit of a trouble here, but they're not going. Now, the thing that I wanted to, or the player I want to highlight on the side of Peace, because we did a lot of focus on Gravitas' composition, what it does, what it offers, and how they play the game when they're grouped, right? Obviously, Violet and Appy want to be able to generate a lead through laning phase, or at least get some dragon control, right? With the priority that they're going to generate through bot lane. But the one person that has the champion, that has the tools, that really can blow this game open is Halo on this LeBlanc. If you think about all of Gravitas' composition and what it does, is it denies the hard engage. LeBlanc is very non-committal. He's able to play... Ooh, this will get spotted out. And this is smart from Babip. I'm going to stop myself there because Babip is going to be able to hit level 2. Olaf will still be doing the red buff. So again, this is very heads up from Babip. And again, he may only lose the red buff, but he's not going to be denied much more than that. So this is very smart. He's decided to give away that red buff, knows he can't contest level 1, and good from Gravitas, but good from Babip as well.
Certainly is. So advantages between the two of them, at least with the experience that Babip holds, that he's going to say, well, I'm just going to transition straight across to the other side of the map and look to a bit of counter jungling of myself. Now, they have spotted him out. The sweeper will deny it, so they won't have a constant idea of what he's up to, but they will at least know that he's in the area.
And what he's done well here is he's taking the Raptors first, because if Olaf decides to just go straight cross map and try and deny this red buff, at least he's taken a camp. Yeah. At least he's not down one. But now he's even going to go for this red, no dramas. He has the ghost, as opposed to Akano having the flash, and Olaf as a clearer or as a jungler gets quite low early. And you want to get low early because you want to utilize the passive. And Babip has kind of identified that, and he's really not behind at all now. If anything, he's actually ahead, right? Like, he's the one that's picked up 2 Raptor camps, picked up a red buff, and he's actually flying. He's even going to get the Krugs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be too concerned about that trade at all. And whilst the lane states between mid and bot are completely opposite, you don't really expect that Gravitas are going to want to rotate to try and back them up to deny Babip that much more. So he's going to pick himself up a lot of experience here. And the Peace bot lane is certainly there to shadow if needed.
And what was meant to start out as a lead for Gravitas has actually turned out to be a lead for Peace. Now, the reason why this is so good as well is because, Violet and Appy want to be playing really far up in this lane. They want to be playing very aggressive. And Thomas, Shen, and Floppy don't really want to be weak-sided in this matchup. And, here we are. They're playing weak side. Akano's down some camps, and Babip's ahead, so very well played. And I'm just going to ramble a little bit, but we're seeing how this mid-lane matchup plays out, right?
Wow, look at it.
It's very hard for LeBlanc. It is very hard for LeBlanc, and Kyose, again, it's going to sound funny, but he's a very good Karma. Like, very good Karma. He got, for those of you that don't know, Kyose got rank 1 playing Lulu and Karma exclusively. When before Enchanters became meta, he was like, I think I figured this out. And he actually cracked the Da Vinci Code and just spammed.
They certainly had a lot of success on it. I mean, let's date our mind back to really where this conversation began about the mid lane focus and what LeBlanc was looking to try and achieve, which is to try and, find poke, but then be unlocked to target the side lanes. Well, look what Kyose did on Karma up against the Direwolves. He was hitting those side lanes consistently, and he got incredibly fed so early on. But now let's look at the skirmish that takes place topside as the 2v1 is being collapsed upon for Tally. He's not going to find much more success if he runs down bot side because he's going to try and flash over this wall. But there's Kyose. He might just go for the empowered Q. And that might just be all.
So far, so good for Gravitas, right? I mean, Babip is ahead, but in terms of lane pressure, Obviously, Tally having to burn that flash. He's going to have to maybe teleport back top lane. Can't really see state of the lane. Might see a fight here. Again, this is why the Olaf matchup into Hecarim early is good. Because Olaf, in terms of base damage, in terms of hit as well with the Undertow, is able to really just negate a lot of what Hecarim needs to do. Like, Hecarim wants to run at you fast, but the one way you counteract that is you just throw an Undertow. So in saying all that, like what I'm seeing so far if you're a Gravitas fan.
Yeah, they got the pressure, right? They've burnt out Tally's flash topside nice and early. They got a sizable lead in the mid lane where Kyose's abusing the matchup to his advantage.
But this bot diff might be a bit of a problem.
And that seems to be the only problem, right?
Yeah.
Right, because, you know, Akano's able to run into the jungle and basically bully out Babip. So you're looking at 3 lanes, we're saying that's fantastic, but bot lane, it's where you're thinking, okay, how do they deal with this Kalista Nautilus?
Well, because they're going to freeze now, or the lane is basically frozen, and they're still down 20 CS. It's not like they're down 20 CS and the lane's coming towards them, but it's actually going away. And this is almost the death away from just turning into a complete shambles bot side of the map. So they really need to be careful, and Babip is parting towards it now. On the way pings here from Akano to Skimmy.
Yeah.
Looks like he is going to set up for this dragon, but they might just get caught in rotation.
They've just walked over vision, right? Both junglers in the area. We're going to see our first 3v3 of the game. The Blast Cone allows Babip to jump in. He pops the Ghost immediately, looking to try and do as much damage as he can. Exhaust onto Violet, making his job that much harder without boots. At least tier 2 anyway, so he's going to try and dash away, and he's already at the fight. They've done the job. They've removed Thomas Shen, and Babip just has far too much movement speed to be caught.
Yeah, and is bot lane still frozen? Because it actually might still be frozen. So Thomas Shen's game just goes from bad to worse in this instance. Double teleport coming on through. Saf are going to lose a pretty decent wave topside as well. Overall, you'd have to say it is worth the piece, right? And this is going to be contested because Tally hasn't based.
TP back into the fight. Akano might just have to burn the flash right now. Yep, he is. He's left to the walls by the rest of his team. Are still stuck topside river. There's the engage. The hook goes in. Dredgeline connecting. Floppy in trouble right now. He's also forced to flash away as the Dazzle connects, but it doesn't prevent.
Oh!
Akano dies, but not before a trade. It's a beautiful arrow. Snipes out Tally. A 1-for-1 trade, but Peace pick up the dragon and he'll pick up another kill.
I think if I'm being brutally honest, Gravitas just played that skirmish extremely poorly. They just seem to kind of forgot Halo was there on the LeBlanc, walked past him, got smacked a little bit, and hold my breath. Holding.
We're stuck in anticipation.
Yep.
It doesn't happen.
He's got teleport, so he'll be fine, Kyose. And so we get the replay here. Akano just gets caught in the pit, fair enough. And here, this was just going to be a clean 3-kill for no death, but Tally wasn't able to pick up the corpse in time, right? Wasn't able to get the passive off. Probably misclicked. And Thomas Shen comes through with the snipe, and then look at this. It's bizarre to me. They just all try and walk past LeBlanc. And like, this is ultimately what loses them the fight. If they're able to take that Tally kill, give the dragon, walk away and reset, then what Tally loses top side of the map is far more than what they're going to gain at that dragon fight. You know, Safa's able to close that deficit in the top lane. You know, Kyose is able to push that mid wave in, but you know, they just tried to fight off more than they could chew.
Yeah, Seth was able to get a big push in top side, even committing his ultimate towards it. Runs back to the lane now, got himself an item. At least a Dark Seal too, to try and join into these skirmishes. The pressure is going to go his way. Yeah, bizarre to say the least. The Gravitas aren't going to be too upset in the grand scheme of it. Only down 1,000 gold, but they're at least going to be able to deploy themselves back onto the map and grab the first Herald.
It's kind of a big get-out-of-jail-free card too for Halo, right? Like that lane, mid lane, was getting pretty rough for him in the sense that like he was down, you know, 15 CS or so, but now he's still down that amount of CS, but he's picked up a kill and 2 assists. So Kyose has got the Merc Treads on first base, but it's just nowhere near as good as that lane could have been for him.
Here's an interesting situation as the vision gets toggled. Both junglers on the same side of the map right now, so Babip's got the respawn idea. Question is, will we see the brawl? Because the bot lane is definitely pushed against them. Doesn't get much easier here for Thomas Shen, especially when they go for a gank like this. Out goes the ultimate, and well, Thomas Shen is just deleted in a heartbeat. The Fate Score was fantastic, and that's what this ultimate offers. Turret shots are juggled, and a kill is secured.
Yeah, unplayable. I mean, that's just...
We're going to need a replay on that one because
Yeah.
Sap has just gone for a cheeky solo bolo.
Yeah, big solo bolo in the top side of the map, and maybe Safa's the win condition again. We talked about, I mean, Poltron did say, you know, Safa can rely on the team this game. Unfortunately for Safa, I don't think this is a game where he can rely on the rest of his team. Like, they're down 50 CS bot side, down a couple of kills, and Safa's really the only one, the only beacon of light left. And this is the replay.
That needlework damage is just disgusting.
I mean, like, you try and break that down. Like, nice sidestep, but he's dead. And this is the problem that Karma has now when you're playing into LeBlanc Hecarim, right? Like, if you ever go to trade against Halo and he lands the chain, you're just as good as dead. Babib's 4-0-2, probably going to have Divine Sundara on his first reset. Oh, sorry, on the next reset. And the optimism is slowly fading away, right?
You were mentioning scaling as we were talking about the two drafts, right? And the fact that this Hecarim would offer a fair bit more as the game went on. Well, if Babip's able to, you know, quote unquote, be invaded and denied a red buff, but still come out ahead, and now sizably too at 4-0, you think, okay, well, how do you deal with this Hecarim? Because he's going to be ganking on repeat, soon to have a Divine Thunder, I'm sure. And he's assisted Halo in not only finding kills, but also nullifying what was before a massive CS deficit.
Yeah, you can't. In short, you really can't shut down this Hecarim because Safa's not going to be at every team fight or every skirmish. That's just the nature of top lane and particularly Gwen. So then you start to think about, okay, who's the next person that's going to take down this Hecarim? Is it going to be Thomas Shen, who's playing the on-hit Varus, down 50 CS, as well as a few kills and assists? Like, he's not going to have the automation through kill this Hecarim. Like, Divine Sundara, they're just going to have to really play through the side lane of Safa. Like, if Safa can get a few more of those solo bolos and maybe break top turret, then potentially there's an avenue for them to play through. But until then, they just need to stop the bleeding. They need to put a plug in it, and they need to wait for Safa to get to a point in which he's able to really just take over the game, if he can.
It's interesting touching on how far behind Thomas Shen is. He's played 2 games of the Varus. He's undefeated on the champion, but in terms of what rune choices are the most popular, it still has to be the Halo Blades at 57%. We have seen a bit of a debate between lethality versions or the on-hit, as we got here today, but he's going to be a world away before we can get any sizable advantages. And it just goes back to the same point again, where the camera is showing Safa summons the Herald, gets so much pressure with it, that's going to force out a TP response from Peace.
Yeah, and that's the LeBlanc teleport. Safa stayed for turret. I think that was a little bit of a misplay from him. Because if you look at bottom side of the map there, Hecarim's just over that wall. We're about to see an onslaught.
Yeah, we certainly are. He doesn't even need to use it. He can remove Safa first of all. Now comes out the onslaught, locking in place 2 people. Damage is just brutal. The fact is that Akano can pick up a kill. That's a good trade for them, removing Halo. But this horse is unstoppable.
I was about to say, the fact that they actually traded a kill back is best case scenario for them, right? Only down a kill in that instance, but I mean, I just keep looking bot side of this map and I'm waiting for it to explode, but it's just death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? You know, they're not dying after what happened in that initial river skirmish, but you may as well be dead, right? Like, you're not farming, you're losing turret plates, there's nothing that you're getting. Like, you know, it's 13 minutes in and yeah, you're arguably not even close to finishing your mythic item when, if you have to look at Violet's gold, he's probably sitting on it. Like, he's sitting on that shield bow.
Makes it so easy now just to go to Dragons and Heralds and so on between the insanely fed Hecarim, but then the Ren stacks obviously for the Callista too. Very hard to contest right now as Gravitas, whose game plan seems to be find fights, disengage, engage, play of mitigation, play of CC cooldowns. We've yet to truly see what that looks like in a full 5v5 scope of things, but at least for the meantime, they're trying to keep it as competitive as they can by playing towards their win conditions, which I seemingly guess is, you know, Safa get as much pressure as he can topside and force out TPs.
Problem is, like, you know, we talked about Gwen being like that 1v2, you know, dice roll sometimes.
Yeah.
You probably can't 1v2 a 6-0-2 Hecarim, if I'm being completely honest.
Might be a little bit too much, but you might be able to 2v1 tally. As the Akano shows himself topside again, he might just run him down. He might just run him down under the turret because the turret is so low. Might just wait for this next wave, but that does mean that Babip is on the hunt. So is Zappy, and here comes Floppy. A big 3v3 that's soon to be unfair as Helo gets himself into the mix of things. Okay. Cosmic Radiance is there. That's an all-important shutdown that Safa finds. The best case scenario for Gravitas.
Yeah.
Second kill for him, and a lot of gold going his way.
Did Babip not have ultimate? Like, could he have ultied away? I dare say he didn't have ult. Like, Babip's good enough to know that he needs to ulti out there. Give him the benefit of the doubt. Kyosei might be dead. Oh. Ooh.
Halo, no doubt, still on the hunt. Gonna get spotted by Vision, though. And that might be all she wrote.
No. I mean, I'm going to be optimistic again because I was talking about this game being doom and gloom. But Gravitas have done a commendable job in identifying their win condition. And it's actually not easy in game when you have all this pressure put on you, especially bot side on the map, to think of or to generate yourself a new win condition. But the fact that they're just living and dying by Sapphire this game is actually quite impressive, right? Because some teams will try and save bot lane. They'd say, okay, what we need to do is we need to gank Kalista, we need to gank Nautilus, and then they get 2v3, 2v4, or teleports come on through, and then the game's over in 5 minutes. But what they've done is they've taken 2 turrets topside, they've got Sapphire to a point of where he's arguably the strongest person on Summoner's Rift right now. And if you keep taking fights around him, we saw what he did to Babip, right? I thought Babip would just walk up into top lane and completely shut down Sapphire, but it was actually the other way around. It was like 2 scissors, 2 snips. All of a sudden, Hecarim's lost his ponytail.
He's shaved for a cure, and unfortunately it's a cure for Gravitas to get themselves back into this match, right? Because what was looking so dim and gloom, as you say, quickly that gold lead has gone right back to being very marginal. I mean, the fact is they pick up an all-important shutdown, but also they continue good work by taking out 2 turrets now. They've completely exposed the top half of the map.
But, I mean, the problem still stands. Like, what do you do to stop Violet? Who matches Violet now? He can't, like, Kyosei can match, but he's going to lose turret.
Yeah.
The wave has to come to him, and I guess the thing Akano has done well is actually picked up both Heralds, and this has created so much pressure because this is actually going to get another charge. Oh. And that was a flash from Floppy. And
this is crazy to me, Juves. 2 Heralds and 2 headbutts have just been guaranteed. And just like that, wherever Sapphire goes,
another one. It's going to be another one.
They might just look to try and take this one. Surely not, no. Thankfully for them, Tally's able to remove that. But they really are, right, identifying that, you know, we have to cut off this limb to save the body. And Gwen will be our win con for this match.
You'd have to say, in terms of the macro, in terms of, how Gravitas are playing the map, they're playing it better. They're playing it better than Peace, right? There's no way Peace should be bleeding that many turrets. Like, they've lost 4 turrets in the space of, what, 4 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And you'd have to say, with the lead that they have, with how far ahead this Kalista is, that's probably questionable, because what they could actually do is they could have flipped their bot lane into Sapphire. Like, this Kalista, this Nautilus, paired with Babip, is going to win a 2v2 or 3v3 every day of the week into Sapphire, but they keep isolating Tally, not offering him any support, and then all of a sudden, like, Sapphire's a bit of a raid boss. Like, he's 2 items, Tally's on 1.
It's fascinating to me how both teams have played around this, right? What they're willing to sacrifice and what they're willing to play around. And clearly for Violet, he wants to flame Horizon. He wants to be as big as possible, run it back and be the hard carry for this game. Make Thomas Shen's life as miserable as possible. Here comes the turnaround as Zappy looks to try and do some wonders. Fate School has to be popped to respect the Cosmic Radiance. Waited that 2.5 second active duration. It is a beautiful onslaught that Babbitt then launches himself into the backline. He dies though again! Sapphire continuing to show up here. And he's just going to run rampant. He gets himself another double kill, 4-1 and 2. And Gravitas are going to come out ahead.
Can I be brutally honest? I unironically think this is like a extremely big draft diff. Like, Pieces can't play the game in 5v5. Like, if you look at the lead Peace generated bot side, and they still can't play, and jungle, they still can't play the game in the 5v5.
Just look at this clip, because the like, starts off right, and it's just
look at Violet.
It's support ult for support ult, and then run away.
Yeah, like, Violet could do no damage through the duration of this Taric ult. Then Babbitt goes in and Sapphire just takes over. Like, Sapphire is literally just 1v9ing. Look at this. Sapphire's creating so much space in these team fights that your Varus, that's down 100 CS almost, doesn't matter.
Look how much time he had to play around, right? 2 charges of the mist, then follow it with a stopwatch, and he's amongst it all. but they can't do anything between it. It's just crazy to me that the game has slipped on its head so quickly like this, because it was Peace that had a sizable lead. I think it was like 3K as a whole, and now the game's gone against them.
Yeah. And we were right to get excited about this Gravitas composition, right? We're seeing how it plays out, even from what was, a Grand Canyon gold deficit.
Yeah.
Well, not gold deficit, rather, but at least game state.
I suppose Thomas Shen is a passenger for the journey of what this game is looking like, right? He's saying, well, you can, bully me in lane, but it doesn't really matter.
Man, this game's interesting. Again, like, I can't stress enough how well Gravitas have done to find that win con. Like, and it ultimately comes down to like bleeding Rift Heralds. And if you're being, again, want to even go back further than that, it comes down to Safa solo killing Tally, right? As soon as that happened, it almost felt like the game just kind of snowballed Safa's way. And my question is, like, as Halo, I thought maybe was going to look for something.
Yeah, we're getting excited there, waiting in anticipation once again. When there's a Blanc on the flank, that something exciting may just happen. Also, there's no more Heralds now, Juve, so the next spawn is a Baron.
Okay.
And Gravitas have said, all right, enough is enough. We know how strong we are in the 5v5, so let's have another fight.
Well, let me just touch on this quickly while we can. Tariq is the best support taking, or the best Baron taking support in the game. Because each... Oh.
No time for that discussion because we're looking for the fight right now. Aggro the miss. There's R2
Violet,
looking to try and do as much as he can. Thomas Shen finally finds the kill. He gets a shutdown, a little bit of sweet revenge as well. As Safa truly is the king of this game.
Yeah.
He does it all, and then run it straight back to Baron again.
Safa's just absolute 1v9, and I mean, he's having a lot of help, right? Like, the people who don't get the credit are the likes of Floppy, as I was about to give him a compliment. He does that, but nevertheless, and Kyose. But Babbitt, can he steal this?
Can he steal it? He has the smite available. There's the blast cone as well. But Safa jumps across, skip and slash, forces out the ultimate, and just to lead him out of the game again. This guy, what is he on? Tally looking to find Reese. Is basically using that ultimate as a gap closer as well.
Can Halo steal it?
Now can Halo try and be the last line of defense? Gravitas have done such a fantastic job of holding the aggro. And it kind of just drives by and hits the smite and guarantees the Baron.
I'm trying to, like, there's so much to break down that I'm missing the breakdown of everything because more stuff's happening and then, like, it's just such a fast-paced game. Like, look how many kills we have.
Yeah. There's too many little mini stories taking place, right, that very hard to recap without a replay, which I'm sure we'll get because there was a lot to take in from those last 2 minutes.
The thing that I wanted to touch on was that Tariq, when Tariq was meta, was the best Baron taking support in the game because all you do is auto-attack the Nash, regen your team, pop the heals, pop the shields, and you just turn when they get close enough. And that's exactly what Gravitas did here. And they're really showing a maturity in-game in terms of identifying what their comp does, identifying their win conditions, and how to execute. And, I mean, it's just fantastic to see. And I will say, just on a side note, and again, this isn't any form of an analysis, I actually, unofficially promised Gravitas owner I would no longer tip them on broadcast because every time I tipped them, they lost. And now I went for peace, and it looks like Gravitas are bringing it home.
It's the classic, right, isn't it? It's the old cast the curse, as they say.
Yeah, so I don't actually think that I don't know much about League of Legends, because I did do well tipping last split, but I just think that whoever I tip this year just loses. And that's not a me problem, and that's not the team's problem. That's just the way the universe has worked this time around.
The stars have aligned against you.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think that we've had 2 back-to-back games now where we're unanimous across the board if we think this team will win, then the upset has happened. And it's not necessarily based on strength. It just seems to be that crazy drafts have given them that strength to then play and make on-the-fly decisions like this where, Thomas Shen says, cool, well, you can bully me in lane, but we've got a Safa. It's kind of like that, what is it, the Avengers meme? Like, oh, you have an army, but we have a Hulk? That's what it feels like to me.
We've got some replays here, as we do, because LCO is the best broadcast in the world. But this is kind of the beginning of the end, right? Like, Peace had a significant lead up until this point, but we're just seeing the composition, right? The Karma shields, Tariq heals, chuck the sunglasses on because we've got the Tariq ultimate coming on through as well. Future's too bright if you're a Gravitas fan. And that team fight just kind of breaks down as we're back into live.
We're back. Yeah, looks like Floppy's reconnected and ready to rumble once again. And, well, just to quickly catch you up, if you have not been keeping tabs on this game, it was all things Peace to start off with. Babbitt was insanely huge, 4-0-2. One missed ultimate top side, and the game is swung on its head from
Yeah.
Sappho just being able to crush this match.
And you have to wonder, like, breaking down this game as a Peace fan, what do you put it down to in the sense that your bot lane could not do more? Could they? They could not do more, but Gravitas just bluntly out macroed them, right?
Yeah.
Instead of Babip forcing the issue bot side for a bot lane that was almost 100 CS down in lane, he tried to protect what was Tally, and I mean, it was just the wrong play, right? In hindsight, of course.
You've got to be
Gravitas-
careful here because
yeah.
Gravitas are posturing to try and end this game right now. Going to force out some very defensive TPs. There's the depth charge to at least disrupt them for the meantime and say Gravitas maybe just too much to bite off on this occasion.
I don't think Peace want this fight though. Like, they're the ones chasing, but I don't think that they win this by any means. So they're going to fall back to this dragon, potentially pick this one up. Peace posturing down mid lane, but they're just going to clear topside camps, and they do have a decent wave topside. So I think the waves are going to have to be answered by Gravitas, and the game's going to slow down just a little bit.
The macro calls are just so fascinating to me, right?
Yeah.
As you say, the fact that Violet is so accelerated, they use that strength to guarantee the first 2 dragons go their way, but then Gravitas say, well, we'll just pick up Heralds for free. 2 turrets pretty much guaranteed every single time that Herald was used. As well as if Peace were playing for a very early 25-minute soul point either, so it's going to feel bitter, I'm sure, on reviewing this match.
Well, sometimes when you're in such a lead in the game, you kind of just autopilot and let the game play itself out, right? So Violet and Appy probably felt so comfortable, you know, they're taking turrets slowly but surely, they're generating a CS lead, and Gravitas felt the urgency to, well, if we don't make something happen soon, we're going to lose the game. And so they traded sides, and they ultimately won more than they lost, right? Bot side. Now, the question is like, could Babip have done more? Could Halo have done more? Could they have taken bot turret first, then flipped into Sappho's lane, then taken top turret earlier, and then all of a sudden we're not having this conversation of losing 2 turrets and giving losing 4 turrets for 2 Rift Heralds. But again, you have to give credit to Gravitas for really forcing that issue and forcing that play.
So they do. Credit where credit is due right now. They are definitely causing Peace a few headaches. Last time, as we mentioned, this game went the distance. 50 minutes, the longest game in LCO so far of the year.
I don't think...
It seems a lot more convincing this time around.
About to say, I don't think we're going to 50 minutes because who's going to match Sappho in bot side? Looks like it's going to be a 3-man.
I don't think anybody can go 1v1. They have to.
Oh! They don't want him.
Well, this
Have
is
the
bizarre.
base.
This is very bizarre because if they do continue at this rate, well, there's another Baron. There's another inhibitor gone. Top lane still getting pressured as well as the waves sync up beautifully.
And I mean, you just have problems now playing LeBlanc at this point too, right? It's 1 distort, 1 Q, and no damage. Even Violet's trying to start the fight.
You can see the frustration from
Yeah.
Violet. Like, we need to do something. We're just passively losing this game.
And I mean, they have the Nautilus. Like, they got tools to go in, but the problem is Taric disengaged, just going to be far too strong, and they're not going to be able to get anything off the back of Appy going forward. So, you know, they kind of even needs a dilemma, like, who goes in? What do we do? How do we kite it out? And I mean, you kind of feel for them, right? At this point, their composition potentially just does not function as well as they would like it to in the inside of Gravitas.
Well, it's funny to me because it kind of goes back to the Poltron interview, right? The fact is, if Peace tried to force that fight topside, as you saw Violet posturing for, an empowered Karma Shield, they're all out of dodge. You know, if they flash ultimate, whatever it may be, forward, there's a Dazzle and there's a Cosmic Radiance to wind up quite beautifully. It's a fantastic draft when you look at it, now that we see the current game state, and it's, as I say, causing Peace to act a little bit in shambles as to, well, what do we do? Who are we identifying as a pick target? And how are we finding these opportunities to pounce?
And you know what's hilarious? We're talking like it's a 10k gold lead to Gravitas, when in fact it's
dead
literally...
even.
Yeah, it's dead even, but like when you just factor draft and how compositions play out, you may as well have a 10k gold lead. Because at this point in the game, Kalista can't really one-shot anyone besides Thomas Shen, and honestly, if Thomas Shen dies, I don't even know if it matters. I'll be like, I think Olaf is more of a problem than Thomas Shen, especially when you consider the shields and healing come through from Kyose and Floppy.
You may just need to hit that Chain of Corruption and say, job done.
Again, watch Taric on this Nash. I'd like to see Taric hitting the Baron, but I think they're just deciding to peel off this one.
Yeah, the passive attack speed to get those Q stack charges back and available.
But they
tip sustain.
They got the teleport from Tally, and that's probably all they wanted in that instance. Right now, they're just going to group up, go topside. Bot wave is going to push in. And I honestly wouldn't even mind the Baron dance here. And when that bot wave with 2 cannon minions gets near the inhibitor, Safa teleport and make Peace make a decision, right?
Yeah.
You either fight the Baron or you come and stop Safa from ending the game. So again, it's all about patience here.
Well, look at the minimap, Jubes. That's two super waves pushing in and then 2 empowered cannons in those waves as well. That's a lot of pressure. They've tried to force the fight at Baron. Beautiful disengage away from Gravitas. They're literally getting toyed with.
I genuinely wouldn't mind seeing a Safa teleport. If Halo doesn't clear this bot wave, which he's going to because he has TP, but again, Gravitas, right decision. They're pulling the trigger on this Nash, and Babip's just being zoned away. Like, there's no way for him to steal this. Teleport's too late.
It's far too late. It's gone. 2k when it came in. That's lethal range to the Baron. A second of the game. This is the way of Gravitas. And we're still a little bit of time left before these inhibitors respawn. Mid has just come up, so that's worth noting. We've still got a couple of minutes at the very least of bot lane pressure to deal with.
And this is unbelievably clean. Like, and again, this isn't shade, but we don't expect this coming out of Gravitas, right? We expect them to be scrappy. We see them just consistently, calling fights, consistently playing for the outplay, right? The micro outplays, not the macro. And what we're seeing right now is kind of a macro, I guess, masterclass up against Peace, and Babip's just had enough.
He's had enough, he's jumped in. There's the Cosmic Radiance and Turek once again, looking to try and find that fight, but now Hecarim is separated from the rest of the team, trying to run away, but gets flashed on by the Olaf and taken out the fight. Fate's Call used again as the bot lane of Peace just can't find any success. They're so strong individually and in comparison, but it means nothing in the scope of a full 5v5. Nobody from Gravitas is dead. Another Baron buff, another bunch of minions pressuring the wave, and it won't be 50 minutes. This time Gravitas will get the 2-0 in 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly a decisive, dominant performance. If you I think Safa's saying just calm down. He's saying, calm down, I've got it, boys. I'm on the snip. We've done a few snippings, and player cams, love to see them.
Crazy. Absolute craziness. And Mac, we welcome you back once again and say, maybe we need to change our predictions to after we've seen the draft, because we're just out here blindly saying, well, this team should be the favorite, this team should be the favorite, but now we're seeing some really cool stuff put together and just working wonders.
Yeah, well, look, I did rage in Twitch chat. I was asking everyone to throw all their points in. We did get ahead with Gravitas for a little bit, but then at the end, I think there was like another 100k points dumped on Peace, so my prediction went to Peace, which is ridiculous. But that being said, I think I got like, I think I doubled my channel points. So there you go. I'm going to have a lot more to predict who I want to for the next game. Now, maybe everyone in Twitch chat should be listening to Mac because I've been right twice now. Anyway, that game, absolute banger. And as you mentioned, it just looked like it might have been that draft gap, which is interesting because Peace have draft lords. So, Jubes, you want to tell me what's going on there?
I mean, to be honest, like, if I'm a coach and we lose from this position, right, as a Peace player or fan or whatever you want to call me, if we lose from the position that we got ourselves into at this point, then like, you can't even really blame draft. Okay. Because it ultimately just comes to, again, I do think Gravitas outdrafted, and I'm not trying to say that because, again, at this team fight, we kind of see it come to fruition here. But they just didn't do anything in the windows in which they had the biggest leads, right? Like, in the windows in which they could have taken bot turret 5 minutes earlier, which they could have done this, they could have done that, they just waited for Gravitas to really generate their own leads. It was like, oh, you're strong now, now we'll try to start fighting. But Gravitas just kind of put on a bit of a macro masterclass.
Well, one thing that comes out of the back of this game is Gravitas are now jumping up into second as well, I believe, and taking that spot of, well, technically it's third, because Order is the only team at the moment that is second. HenSnet might be able to jump up into second there as well. But again, Gravitas, they have done the unbelievable. And say there's a situation where, you know, there's a tied second, tied third when it gets to playoffs. Remember, Gravitas has now got the 2-0 over Peace. So if they go neck and neck towards the end of the round robin stage into the playoffs, they now have the advantage. So that is huge for Gravitas. Now, lots of numbers here. Jubes, you want to tell me the most important one?
Well, what's wild to me is that the Hecarim damage. Like, he's done 6k and he was 6-0 and 3 in the early game. I think that's actually criminal, especially when we talk about Babip being so good. I think he's going to have a look back about how he played the game and what he did. Halo had a bit of a pop-off, you know, credit to him. But, I mean, no one on the side of Peace could do damage that game, really, except for him. And the numbers are a little bit on the lower end for Gravitas, but that's actually because Peace were just melting and they actually didn't have any health. So sometimes looking at damage can be a bit of a bait. You see only like 13k from Olaf or only 16k from Sapphire, but like with that 16k, he's killed the whole team. Like, he's literally killed the whole team. He's snipped a 1.5k or 1.8k HP Kalista a few times in a team fight. That's only like 4k, 5k, and all of a sudden you've won the game. But it's not big numbers.
Yeah, well, big numbers. You know, that's something that Gravitas has managed to put up. Now we do have the interview ready as well, so let's bring Nat back in to the conversation. Nat, how you doing? Did you enjoy that one from the sidelines?
I'm doing well, and yeah, I did enjoy it for a while there. It looked pretty even, and then just slowly but surely, Gravitas ended up taking that one over. But before I jump in the interview, I do have a question for Jubes that I wanted to ask him. And that was, you pointed out that the gold was so even near the end, but it felt like Peace weren't doing anything. Where was the gold? You know what I mean? Like, what was it doing?
The gold was literally sitting in Violet's pocket.
Right.
And instead of using the gold, he went to his nearest bank, he put it in there and deposited it for next game. Because ultimately, that's how it felt, right? Like, Peace just waited and waited and waited. They do a tap check and they're like, oh, wait, we're not ahead anymore. Top side's collapsed. Like, that's literally what happened.
Well, there you go. Someone that I'm going to hopefully get some more information out of is Kiyose for the post-game interview. Congratulations on another win over Peace. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. We 2-0'd them, but yeah, pretty good.
I'm glad to hear. I want to start all the way at that draft, and I want to know, was that what you guys were planning on always doing, or was it just a very reactive sort of draft?
No, actually, we had a really weird draft planned, but the thing is that they gave us Karma, so we just, like, the whole draft changed. We did not expect to get Karma, so yeah. Right,
so as soon as you guys got Karma, you were like, this is it. We've got to change it up. And look, it worked in your favor. Now I want to talk about the mid lane matchup. You did pretty well there, but talk me through what was happening early game and then the transition into mid game for you.
Yeah, so early I was winning, like stomping really hard. Then following my jungler, I lost like at least like so much XP. So then my lane kind of fell apart. But then we translated all the leads into top, and then top was able to snowball the game and carry with jungle. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys just never really took the foot off the pedal there. What do you think was such a big key contributor to be able to, I guess, make those transitions to enable your top lane so much and just never really feel like you were in a position to lose?
Definitely the Rift Heralds. Like, we just got 2 free Rift Heralds. I'm not sure how, but like the first one we had prior, the second one we just got the Rift Herald. And then yeah, we were able to give Sapphire 2 towers top. Then we gave him then we put the Herald on him, and then he got another 2 towers pot. And then we just broke all the inhibs with Baron, so yeah.
It was just no stopping from there. And now the last question is, for yourself over this split, like where have you seen your biggest improvement?
Definitely laning. It's just maintaining CS leads and being able to impact the map more with my jungler, so yeah.
I would 100% agree with that, but congratulations again on the win tonight, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya.
Great to hear from the players as per usual. Now that will bring us to the DoorDash player that delivered, and I think it's absolutely no surprise that, of course, it was Sapphire. There he is again with the Thanos click about to be dropped. 6-1-4, just dominating the map and playing another champ in his pool, which manages to make it work. 83% kill participation and just macroing up a storm. So big W's for him and a big $100 DoorDash voucher straight in his pocket. Jubes, if you had $100 from DoorDash, what would you spend it on?
I would probably buy HSP, but that'd be for the weekend because I got to watch what I'm eating during the week.
Okay.
So I'd get a couple salads. I would also get a few coffees here and there, particularly a coffee every 3 hours, just because I need to really be able to keep up with the intensive schedule that I have, which is eat, sleep, game, repeat.
Yes.
But nevertheless, I mean,
Do you think Safa has a really intense schedule like that?
you want me to be honest?
Yes.
That's why I asked.
I mean, Safa's a professional gamer.
So he's busy.
Let me just say, that man's busy.
Yeah.
That man, I've done it. I've been in the schedule. I've done it before, and might be having some heart palpitations from the coffee, but nevertheless,
Juice,
at least DoorDash got you covered.
I've got another question. It just popped into my mind then.
Go for it.
Look, we got Safa on Gwen, right? And then I know Swaith absolutely pops off on Gwen in the jungle. Do you reckon when they face up, that'll be a high contested champ?
Gwen's banned. Has to be.
You reckon?
But also, by the time they face off again, we might actually be on Gwen nerf patch.
Okay.
So you never know.
Well,
But unless
Oh,
they
well.
verse each other on Friday.
well, I hope you are all well. I hope you're all well in Twitch chat, and I hope you're all ready
Well.
to jam out to some more absolutely sick tunes as we go to another break. It is going to be Pentanet and Legacy just after this. But while you're chilling, while you're max chilling, kick your feet up and listen to this one from Flower Kid. It's happening again. We'll see you on the other side.
Run it back to be the hard carry for this game. Make Thomas Shen's life as miserable as possible. Here comes the turnaround as Zappy looks to try and do some wonders. Fate School has to be popped to respect the Cosmic Radiance. Whether that 2.5 seconds is active duration. It is a beautiful onslaught that Babylon launches himself into the backline. He dies though.